Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Star Wars Collector, and today we have to talk about Star Wars Unlimited and where it's currently headed in the market. You know, I've seen a lot of chatter online about its decline. People are calling it a failure. Some people are saying the player base is shrinking. So in this video, I really wanted to dig into whether or not that's actually true, and if so, really what's driving it. When I heard that Star Wars was getting its own dedicated TCG, I was of course all in. I'm deeply passionate about both collectibles and of course Star Wars, and I'm a huge fan of TCGs as well. So when it was announced, I knew I had to be an early adopter. I signed up ASAP at my local game store. I got online for the pre-release, and then when I arrived, the store was completely packed. Rows of tables full of people, all eager to open their Star Wars Unlimited products, playmats, boxes, etc. Everyone was really just as excited as I was for this new TCG. Local and tournament play was truly thriving. Then, when Set 2 came out, it was just as popular. But here's the thing, when Set 3 arrived, I noticed there was a change. Pre-release kits were just sitting on the shelves, available to purchase even after the events long past. Packs were always in stock, something that actually used to be hard to get because people would just buy up entire cases during the time. And just as that shift was actually happening, the Carbonite packs were released alongside Jump to Lightspeed in December of 2024 with previews in early 2025. Of course, this was just one store's experience, but of course when you look at more general regional sales data and overall pack movement, we really see a similar pattern, a plateau or even a decline in initial hype. But again, this was just my personal experience at one local game store, so it really doesn't define the entire landscape here. To get a clear picture, I looked at larger market data, hard numbers, not really just speculation. Across the broader TCG marketplace, Star Wars Unlimited moved from rank 9 in Q3 of 2025 to rank 10 in Q4 of 2025 on TCG Player. This is a notable milestone. It shows the game of course still has a place, but it's not really leading the pack. When we look at sealed product values, the trend is even more clear. According to TCG Player, the average price of a booster box from Set 2, Shadows of the Galaxy, was around $147, but by Set 3, Twilight of the Republic, the average price had dropped to just $74. I also had personally visited a few other game stores in my area, 2 to 3 to be exact, in different regions, and saw very similar patterns, a slower decline in both foot traffic for the game as well as sealed product interest. Now, to be fair on this matter, we don't have exact total sales number from the publisher, so we really can't say for certain. But the secondary market shift signals something more important: demand may be cooling. And when we compare it to IPs like Pokemon, we see something drastically different. But I also think it's crucial to compare it to another Disney property, Disney Lorcana. Lorcana launched a year earlier prior to Star Wars Unlimited, and since both are Disney properties, it was only natural to compare these two. As a general consensus, Lorcana seems to have a steadier player count than Star Wars Unlimited, though some stores of course do report a lower attendance in certain areas. Online chatter and forum discussion have also hinted at a gradual decline in player engagement from Star Wars Unlimited. Still, despite these regional variances, Lorcana still has shown more stability in both sales and attendance even as a year-older game. This stability in Lorcana's ecosystem is also a reflection of its organized play structure. In Lorcana, there's something called a DLC, a Disney Lorcana Challenge, which is a local or regional qualifier leading up to the Lorcana World Championship, which may be hosted globally. So in contrast, we have Star Wars Unlimited's Galactic Championship, which is a premier US-based event, which this year is going to be held in Las Vegas, where players qualify via local and regional events. And thus, while both events are invite-only, Lorcana's structure accumulates in a global championship, whereas Star Wars Unlimited's focuses on a US pinnacle event. Both games also feature weekly organized play. Lorcana's weekly league play is clearly structured by Ravensburger to tie into the championship cycle. Star Wars Unlimited also has a weekly point systems leading to the Galactic Championship, though it's somewhat less centralized. In short, Lorcana's path is a global ladder, where Star Wars Unlimited offers more localized but still competitive progression. Now let's talk about why some might feel Star Wars Unlimited might be facing some challenges. From my personal experience, and of course echoed by others as well, a key challenge is the expanded keyword complexity. Each Star Wars Unlimited set introduced more key terms. While veteran players accumulate knowledge, even returning players can still feel overwhelmed catching up. For casual players, that steady learning curve can make everything feel more daunting, especially if they're not constantly immersed. Also, within conversations that I've been having with players in my local game store, I've noticed some feel there's a sense of elitism within the community, where some individuals might seem overly egotistical about their knowledge. This problem isn't inherently unique to Star Wars Unlimited. Franchises like Magic the Gathering or even Yu-Gi-Oh! Have similar challenges as well. However, as we've seen, Star Wars as a franchise can be quite polarizing, and that can also amplify the effect of this as well. When a community feels less welcoming, whether it be intentional or not, it of course discourages new or returning players from engaging. Another reason why I see players leaving the scene is due to lackluster pricing. Regarding the local scene, Star Wars Unlimited does run weekly events that accumulate points toward the Galactic Championship, but the pricing is often limited to promotional packs with a small pool of rare cards. And once those run out, traditional booster packs step in as pricing, which can be fine for new players still filling out their sets, but once you fill out your entire collection, there's very little reason to stay engaged, especially if you're a casual. In contrast, Lorcana also has a point-based system that leads to their global championships, which is more structured progression. Each in the 12-week cycle offers incremental pricing tied to the accumulated points that you get, ensuring that consistent engagement, of course, yields more tangible rewards. In Star Wars Unlimited, even though the Galactic Championship is still a huge prize, of course not everyone can attend, just kind of like all the other championships are, but the lackluster in incremental pricing and variety of different pricing at casual events means many players lose incentive to stay involved. Another reason why we might see some players turn away or even not even start Star Wars Limited is the lack of an official digital client. While major TCGs like Pokemon and Magic offer really polished digital platforms, Star Wars Limited really relies on unofficial tools that are lesser known. An official client could offer a risk-free entry point, letting new players explore decks and mechanics without the immediate economic commitment. It would ensure standardized tutorials guiding all players through consistent onboarding. Plus, it also allows players to stay familiar with the new cards and keywords, reducing that barrier to entry. Even if local shops stop supporting the game, a digital client would of course keep the players engaged, ready to rejoin when the community rebuilds. As mentioned, Star Wars Unlimited saw a big boom post-launch, but interest tapered after Set 3 as we talked about before. In particular, rural areas definitely felt this the most. With fewer local game stores and longer travel distances, these shops often halted events when attendance or revenue dropped, making it harder for players to regularly engage. Thus, in these communities, players are naturally defaulting to the big three, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and of course Magic the Gathering, because those games are just more simply accessible. When we look at marketing, Pokemon is a prime example of how a TCG is directly integrated into its overall brand ecosystem. Its cards appear on their main YouTube channels, and events, and of course are truly inseparable from the franchise. Very similar, Disney Lorcana, while marketed separately, still leverages the Disney parks like Epcot's festivals to drive additional visibility. Meanwhile, Gundam and Digimon TCGs are backed by Bandai, which has a big diverse IP portfolio which also fails to achieve the same level of mainstream promotion, remaining more niche. Let's take Dragon Ball for example as well. One of the most iconic anime properties ever, yet its TCG is also struggling with marketing. Despite a massive anime fanbase, Bandai had to reinvent the Dragon Ball card game to simplify its rules and broaden its appeal. Even after that overhaul, it's still struggling beyond its core audience. In this same landscape, Star Wars Unlimited falls into a similar pattern, an enormous IP but a TCG that doesn't really break into the wider public consensus, staying in the same marketing tier as Gundam, Digimon, and even the reinvented Dragon Ball. Furthermore, on a local level, these games really suffer from minimal store promotion. An occasional Instagram post or even a Discord message really isn't enough. Without more robust local advertising, new players rarely discover the game, and without an initial spark of awareness, attendance and growth remain stunted. Another factor contributing to Star Wars Unlimited's decline is its delay into the general retail space. While brands like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Magic the Gathering have been fixtures in major retailers like Target and Walmart since day one, Star Wars Unlimited only had recently expanded into those channels, after even several sets have been released. This late arrival meant that casual players, especially those in more rural areas with limited access to local game stores, didn't have the same opportunity to discover the game early on. Without a broad retail push from the start, visibility remained confined to niche game stores, and by the time new players found it in big box retailers, the momentum have already started to slow down, leaving them hesitant to actually invest. Despite the critiques I've just laid out, without major shifts in the core franchise, its future is still a bit uncertain. That said, if these adjustments like stronger retail presence, better digital integration, and more visible local events are implemented, I believe the game could stabilize and grow, reaching a broad audience and thriving in years to come. I really hope to see that happen, and I truly wish Star Wars Unlimited continued success. But now I'm going to pass the question on to you. Let me know your personal experience with Star Wars Unlimited down in the comments. If you like this style of content, or any style of content that is Star Wars, consider subscribing. And until the next time, may the Force be with you, and take care.